Hi everyone, it's Bert from Season Gaming, and welcome to this week's Bitcast. We're at Bitcast 51, and we've actually had a lot of news that has happened this week due to a couple big announcements and packs. So we're going to get started with this big news because State of Play finally happened. If you tuned in last week, we did talk about State of Play happening. It happened this past Monday, depending on when you're listening. This is Sunday when we're recording, but if you're listening later in the week, this happened last week. But let's go ahead and start it out. So when you did look on YouTube or if you were watching live, it did last around 26 minutes total. That is with commercials. That's with the ads and everything. Before that, I should say, not commercials. But it was kind of short. One of the neat things like we could say is that it was in the format of the Nintendo news cycle that has recently happened. So that's pretty good. A lot of people haven't been really hot on Inside Xbox, but it is a different format. So there wasn't necessarily a host. There wasn't a show format. We just saw a lot of announcements and trailers. But let's talk about those really quick. So we have recently done a special on VR. VR seemed to be a massive focus on State of Play this time, and it kind of kicked off the entire presentation with Iron Man VR. So, Ains, what are your thoughts here from the VR perspective? Did you get what you wanted out of this presentation? Did you want more? Did you want less? What are your thoughts?
I was hoping for a little more. I think that this was their first show. It's their first format, or first show in this format, I should say. As you said, kind of like Nintendo Direct, but I thought it was a little shallow, to be honest. I'm not too excited. Iron Man VR got a lot of press, but I just looking at it, I wasn't too impressed. And we'll see how it plays, which is going to be key, of course. They showed a few things I'm interested in. I was happy to see more of Concrete Genie, indie game, not VR though. And what was the title they showed for VR that was new? Was it Blood and Truth? I think it was called. That looked actually pretty cool. So I think Blood and Truth, and then there was another game. Gosh, I'm going blank. I'm sorry. Bear with me here. Observation was another game that was a first kind of reveal that I thought looked really good. But in terms of the format for the show itself, I've got nothing against the format. I think that they're cutting straight to the chase and basically all meat, no fat. But the problem is there wasn't a lot of meat here either. I wanted to see something a little more than these really high-level things. And then they ended with just extra video footage of things like Mortal Kombat 11, Days Gone, stuff that we've already seen just very extensively. So there really wasn't a whole lot to get excited about here. I hope that they refine this and bring some more important things or bigger news as the year goes on.
Yeah, it's... Excuse me. Oh my gosh, what just happened? All right. Yeah, it was all right. I mean, the Inside Xbox stuff, the Nintendo Directs, and now the State of Play or whatever it is. They're you gotta just take them at face value. You're not gonna probably get huge announcements every time. For the first time out, I think it was okay. I'm not super excited for many of the games. The Iron Man game, after actually watching it, I was like, well, this is all right, I guess. I hope it's $10. So that's about what I thought of it. I might jump back into No Man's Sky to see how it goes in VR. I did enjoy that game. I enjoyed it less when they actually patched it, which is weird. And they, brought that big content update last year. But any news is good news. So. Is what it is. As far as, new stuff, nah. I mean, meh.
Yeah, one of the things that I found interesting about the Iron Man VR trailer is that was not actual game footage. The entire time they were showing a pre-rendered video of what it could be in concept, I guess you could say. But we don't actually know what the actual footage and the gameplay looks like in that game. A lot of people were really hot on that trailer, and I am not yet. I think it's a cool concept so far, but I never really get excited until I actually see the gameplay and what you can actually do. Another thing for me is the No Man's Sky seems almost like the perfect game to be suited for VR. So I avoided it due to all the negative, news and everything that was happening at its release. I was more interested in it when it came out on Xbox, but I just haven't really picked it up yet. But this might be a good way to kind of get back into the VR of No Man's Sky, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, I think it kind of remains to be seen if these presentations that are happening really have any, as Ain said, meat to them when it comes to what's happening. I wonder if, from a Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony perspective, if this is just to kind of keep people interested in the brand and kind of let them know that they are still around and they are still having some new things coming out. But, with Sony not going to E3 this year, are these the types of small presentations that we're going to get from Sony this year? Until the big releases are coming out. So we still don't have a lot of firm release dates. I think a lot of people were hoping to see some more from your Last of Us 2 and other, Death Stranding, things like that. A lot of people were trying to tease that we might get release dates for these, and we didn't see anything. So I don't know, kind of a letdown here. It's interesting seeing people kind of still say this was amazing, and then you have the other side of like, what were you watching? Were we watching the same video?
Well, I think, I think the public has spoken, right? Because the actual official PlayStation video of State of Play is downvoted horrendously. So I think most people were pretty disappointed with this. To your point, I just wanted to touch on No Man's Sky VR. I actually was pretty excited about that as well. I played No Man's Sky a ton at launch. I'm one of those weirdos. And I actually really enjoy the game for what it is. I think VR is a perfect fit for that game, and I'm actually really excited to try it. The nice thing, of course, if you're on PS4 and have PSVR, even if you've never bought No Man's Sky before, you can get that game for like $10 on PS4, and all the huge updates are free. So you don't have to buy anything else, and this VR update is free as well. So definitely a good time to jump in and try it out. The only thing I would be concerned about is, as you guys know, when you're playing VR for extended periods of time, it wears on your eyes a little bit. And No Man's Sky is one of those games where you just explore and you can spend hours upon hours playing. So I don't know how that's going to translate to kind of quicker VR sessions that may be a little troublesome. But
do you know if you can play multiplayer No Man's Sky VR? That'd be kind of
I think that's a good question. I was going to say the next update that's coming later this year is like the full-on multiplayer component to No Man's Sky. I don't know if the VR is just, the full game or if it's a specific section of the game. I'm not sure.
I was going to say, that could be really cool if you have like 2 or 3 people in full VR playing together. That'd be awesome.
That would be. Yeah, that would be. I hadn't even thought about that, to be honest. The only other thing I was going to say to your comments about the show itself, I know Nintendo, most people really like the Nintendo Directs, and I think they're pretty good, right? They've gotten that format down to a science. And I like how they interject game directors or producers on certain things. The thing I didn't like about this was it was straight trailers with almost no break. And it basically felt like Siri was presenting to you. They had that woman almost automated voice over top of it, laid on top of it. And it was just really, really edited down. And some people may like that. I like a little more insight into what's going on with these games. And so I know people are kind of mixed on Inside Xbox, as you said, but, I like it. I know there's a lot of fat there on Inside Xbox, but when you get to hear from the devs making games or you get to hear from the team there and what they're working on, I like that aspect of it because it gives you a little more knowledge of what's going on behind the scenes.
Yep. Dan, anything else on this one from you? Are you still interested in Crash Team Racing and everything? I thought that was cool.
Well, yeah, that's mostly because we've got some hot action coming up. Between some podcasts, that's what I'm looking forward to.
You guys don't know what you're in for.
I have no idea what I'm in for. I haven't played it forever.
So one of the things that interested me about it is I'll probably be picking it up on PlayStation just because of the extra content to play the old tracks and everything like that and the old resolution. And plus, I think, wasn't it the people that we've challenged and that we're going to destroy only play on PlayStation?
They have Xbox too, but they'll probably buy it on PS4. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We could just do PS4 would be fine. I didn't know they were coming out with extra content just for the PS4. That's awesome. Is that in the video that I missed?
Yeah, it was in the trailer. Yeah. It was in the trailer. They were talking about the stuff that is exclusive to it.
I'm trying to stay away from that and avoid spoilers because I'm going to go in fresh.
Yeah, speaking of the other things they did show, the other things they showed at the end was Days Gone, which we've seen tons of right now, and then Mortal Kombat 11. And I've actually gone silent on Mortal Kombat 11. I think they've shown everything now to where it's gotten to the point to where I think a lot of the game's ruined for me as far as surprises and stuff. I've seen every single fatality when I have tried to turn it off, but they're just every outlet's doing the fatality thing. So, anyways, it's interesting. Let's see what else happens from State of Play in the future. Hopefully they get some feedback and they enhance it in some way because it was just kind of a letdown from a lot of people's perspective. So. Anyways, moving along, one of the biggest conventions that happens outside of 3 PAX East did happen this past week. The biggest, I guess, panel that was expected and the biggest developer that we were kind of waiting to hear more news on and was teased way before PAX even started as big announcements was Gearbox. And so Gearbox had a massive panel. I think it was around an hour, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But a lot of information came out, and we're not going to go over every single announcement because then we'd be talking about that for 20, 30 minutes, but we're going to touch on the big ones. All right, so one of the first announcements that interested me was the Bulletstorm port coming to the Switch. And so this is going to be called the Duke of Switch Edition. So Duke of Nukem has been out on Bulletstorm for the past couple years already in the existing generations of Xbox and PlayStation 4, but it is going to be coming to the Switch. So I didn't really see this coming. I'm not sure if I'm super excited about it. Not going to be playing it again, but for people that haven't played the Bulletstorm game in previous or current gen consoles, this might be a good place for them to check it out on the Switch.
Yeah, I played. It's funny because I picked it up. It was on sale, I think, for the Xbox with the Duke Nukem thing, and it's pretty funny. It just basically imposes his voice on and goes through the whole game. Well, I would assume the whole game. I got glitched out in the first level and could not advance, and I said, nope, I've got better things to do. But when it first came out, I love Bulletstorm. It was just a fun, stupid game, but it was well done, for what it was. But this is cool, I'm glad that Nintendo people, or gosh, now I feel like I'm singling people out. More people can try the game and enjoy it and have fun.
Yeah, I picked up Bulletstorm at launch way back when it first launched on this is Xbox 360, wasn't it?
Yeah, I played it then too.
Yeah, and I used to play that in co-op with some buddies, and it's actually quite a fun game. It's got some neat aspects to it. I'm not going to be going back to it for this, but as Dan just said, the more people that get to play it, cool.
Yeah, kind of funny. Another one of those games that came out 2 generations ago that's just making its appearance on the Switch. But, I think it's a fun game. If you're slightly interested in it, check it out. I hope there'll be at least a demo for people to check out. Moving on to another just weird part of the presentation of this panel was they kind of introduced a card game for Borderlands, and they brought one of the Filthy Casual models. Dan, is that right?
I think I think she works. Yeah. She works for the company and models some of her stuff, and does a lot of cosplay
so they brought
stuff.
her. Yeah, they brought her out on the stage for what Randy Pitchford did, kind of like a magic trick. I thought it went way too long, and it was kind of a poor presentation, but there's a Borderlands card game coming out. I don't know if we need to spend too much time on this one, but are you guys even remotely interested in the card game, or just a hard pass?
No. Yeah, I'll be buying it just because I love Borderlands, but just playing. We play card games and stuff around my house with my son, and he loves Borderlands. Yeah. So the fact that it's Tiny Tina, from what we could see of it, it looked pretty cool. I thought it was kind of strange that they spent all that time on the magic trick, which, by the way, the magic trick was actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it's the presentation.
Yeah. But they didn't really show too much of the game itself. You couldn't see. I wish they would have shown some of the cards and some of the other stuff. But regardless, I'll be picking it up. It was kind of funny that they went into that in the presentation. So
I feel like the longer, if you kept watching that, I think the reason it did go so long is because of the issues they had probably later on down the road.
In the background.
They're probably stalling for something else. Yeah, that card trick was, I thought it was pretty cringy. I hate using that word, but it was just like what is happening, Randy? Come on, buddy. Just give us what we want. Randy. Yeah. Let's go, Randy. Yeah, we're on a first name basis, Bert. I just wanted to let you know that. Yeah. And it just, whatever, man. Nobody signed up for that. Nobody came to that thing to go, oh, gosh, I really hope Randy Pitchford does a magic trick. This is going to be awesome. No. And then, the first card, it was obviously planned, I think. It was... come on. The first card he pulled over had the signature on it. People saw it. Stop it, Randy. You're no David Blaine. Come on. You're not even David Copperfield.
It is interesting that in a lot of our video game presentations, whether it be at E3 or PAX or any of these big ones, it's funny how a lot of the presenters that aren't in their comfort zone of outside of talking about video games and everything, try to do something funny or a magic trick, or they try to bring this crazy rock band in or something and they claim to be rocking out next to it. I mean, just present in your own nerdy, dorky way. I think that's what we really want. I don't really care for this other fake stuff that they do, but I don't know. It is what it is. It was an interesting presentation, and let's move on to the next point that was interesting for us in the Gearbox presentation. So if you did pick up the PlayStation VR and you were lucky enough to get the bundle that came with Borderlands 2 VR, they are adding aim support. So if you have that attachment for VR, this is something that's been highly requested from the VR game. All the DLC from Borderlands 2 was not initially included in the vanilla copy, I guess you could say it, in the VR bundle. Is coming this summer, and that is going to be free. So if you have been playing the heck out of that VR game, this is super good news for you. It's even better that it's free. So that's a cool thing. And getting to the bigger news, as they started rolling towards the end of the presentation, the Handsome Collection is now going to get an update on April 3rd of full 4K. So that's a super big update. It's been getting updated, I think, since it kind of came out. It's been streamlined, and even if you haven't played the prequel, this is going to be a great one to play in 4K. I might actually go do this now because I didn't get to play the prequel. But this is Handsome Collection is only to the prequel and Borderlands 2, so it's important to keep that in mind. Any comments here, guys, before we get to the other big game announcements on here?
Yeah, if you go and play the prequel, let me know, and I'll jump in there with you. It's one of my favorites.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
So
kind of warm us up.
2 comments. It's the pre-sequel. Damn Borderlands noobs. And the game is not good, so I wouldn't waste your time.
It is not. It's
Man.
very good.
It's
It's the same goddamn game.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
Wait, aren't they all kind of the same?
No. You see these two I have to podcast with? You see this?
Hold on, wait a minute. Are you talking about a story perspective or like just a mechanic wise? Is it
A little of both.
What? Yep. Well, you're wrong, but that's okay.
Well, it might. So Ains, did you play it all already? By the way, the prequel.
The pre-sequel, yeah, I played it for quite a bit. I played it with my sons and wife, and we play a lot of Borderlands together. And so when that came out, we dove into it, and we quickly dropped it. My son is now replaying Borderlands 2 because that's the best one, and I'm actually looking forward to this next announcement that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, well, really quick before we jump to that, is it worth trying to play the pre-sequel, I guess I'm going to call it now, and then moving over to our next announcement and then to part 2? Or is there a better order to play them in if you're going to replay them again to get ready for the final announcement that we're going to mention?
Yeah, I would play this next announcement first, play 1 first.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just me. I like I said, I just wasn't a big fan of the pre-sequel. I didn't like the mechanics they added. I didn't like some of the level layouts. It was just kind of bland. And you could tell it wasn't developed by Gearbox directly, and you could tell that.
Gotcha. All right, well, instead of skirting around it nonstop, I'm sure everybody kind of has heard this already, but to get our take on it, so Borderlands 1 Game of the Year Edition is coming out also on April 3rd, so that's, depending on when you're listening to this, just in a few days. It's going to get full 4-player co-op support. It's going to be in 4K, 60 frames per second. All DLC is included, and there will be new skins and heads for some of the characters as well. So if you kind of remember, Borderlands 1 was a long time ago, so a lot of the stuff that is now normal in the Borderlands play was not available then. So to see it kind of get upgraded in this Game of the Year edition, massive news for people, super excited. I think a lot of us are going to go back and play this one.
Yeah, this really got me going. I love Borderlands 1. I was, ever since the game first got announced way back, and got a decade ago now, believe it or not. It was 2009 it released. I've played through it multiple times, but I'll definitely be picking this up just to kind of, for the nostalgia of playing it again. And as you said, got a lot of new features. They're also adding like a modern mini-map like Borderlands 2 had. 1 didn't have that, even though people may think it did. They're adding new legendaries as well, and so it's just got a lot more to it. And it's $29.99, so I'll be picking this up on Tuesday for sure.
Yep, same here. Because I'm a sucker for buying games.
You got us, Gearbox.
You got us, goddammit.
I mean, I could literally start that game
really
and play the first... Oh, sorry, Dan. I was going to say I could play probably the first quarter to a half of that game almost blind. I have run through the beginning of that game endless amounts of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Same.
Yeah, so super excited there. And then at the end of the presentation and back with horrible technical issues and difficulties they had to deal with. Randy came out, and we had originally gotten the teaser to Borderlands 3, which was simply, I don't even know how you call that. Was it just a scrolling through a mosaic of the game without any gameplay footage or anything? And then they finally gave us a full trailer of Borderlands 3. So the worst kept secret in probably the gaming industry right now has been officially confirmed and everything. We don't have a release date. Nothing was shown on that. There is teases that we're going to actually get a release date potentially in the beginning of April, but still no release date. Rumored to still be in 2019. We'll see if that happens. But what are your biggest thoughts here, guys? I know you two were super hyped about it.
Yeah, I'm pumped, man. I love Borderlands, but we've been talking about it. We've been waiting a long time for it. It's one of my favorite. It is my favorite looter shooter of all time. It's hilarious. It's fun to play. It's just it snuck up on me, to be honest with you. That first game, when I played it, I was like, we'll see how this is. And then, I played through it all the way through with all 4 characters. Same with number 2. And then I don't think I did all the pre-sequel twice, but lots of DLC. It's really well supported, by Gearbox. So I'm ready, man. It's going to be awesome. I was really excited to see that trailer.
So you're saying bring it, Dan.
Bring it on! Bring it on!
Yeah, I'm...
Haynes, how about you?
Yeah, I'm pumped for it. I first of all, I think the issues they had with the presentation were catastrophic, but also hilarious. This is why I like live shows. Everyone's talking about Nintendo Direct State of Play and how, you don't have those issues. I like those issues. And the reason I like them is because you got to see Randy be put in an uncomfortable place. And you could see kind of just the concern and passion he had for the game and showing it to the fans there. And I like to see that out of the devs. I like to see something real rather than everything being scripted and perfect every time. So I thought it was kind of funny. I was having a laugh while watching it. In terms of
you were having a laugh.
I was having a laugh. Are they taking the piss with this? In terms of Borderlands 3, I loved it. If you're a big fan of Borderlands, this trailer was done in the exact same model. So for those who forget, Borderlands 1 trailer is what really put it on the map immediately. It had this really funky trailer, it had this unique art style, it had this catchy song, and immediately when they showed that original trailer a decade ago, Borderlands was on the map. And so when Borderlands 2 came out, they did the same thing. They got a new catchy song, and with Doomsday, and they had this really cool trailer showing the new Vault Hunters and all that. And so I like that the very first thing we saw for Borderlands 3 was this same methodology. You had this 3-minute long trailer showing all the characters and everything in it with this cool song. And it was just a really cool fan homage, in my opinion. They did confirm, Randy confirmed yesterday on Twitter, Bert, that they're going to tell the release date on April 3rd. So they said you'll see more of the game and we'll give the release date on Tuesday. So, or whenever that is, Wednesday, April 3rd. For the trailer, there's a lot of stuff shown in that trailer that I think we don't have to get into, but I mean, there was a lot of things there that showed potential. For instance, they showed multiple worlds, which would be the first for Borderlands, and for those who finished Borderlands 2, that's what they hinted at the end, is going to multiple worlds. So I think that gives them the opportunity to really play around with the environments and everything, I think, which will be amazing. They showed different gun types and modifications, which was part of the rumor that you'll be able to modify guns and find components and things this time. And that they showed that the enemies are a pair of twins, apparently with the first male siren that we'll find out more about, because all the sirens in the Borderlands universe are female only. So there's just, I could go on and on. There was a ton in that trailer if you kind of rewatch it a few times that you catch, and I'm sure I still missed a bunch. But yeah, I was super pumped. I'm so ready for this, and I'll just say if it comes out this fall, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble because this fall is already getting really packed.
It's got guns with legs on it.
Guns with legs and mechs and monsters, and it was cool.
Yep, a lot of people super hyped on it. We'll see if we get what that release date is. You guys want to take a stab at it and guess on 2019, or what do you think 2020?
2019 for sure. Yep, and someone deduced in the trailer, guys really study these things. If you break it down, there's a part halfway through where it zooms in on a building, and if you zoom in on the clip, you can see a 10, And then the very next building they show on the side of it, there's an O1, so people are thinking it's going to be October 1st, which happens to be a Tuesday. So
Wow.
That's the current rumor. But yeah, I think it'll definitely be this year.
I think it's going to be
I'm thinking this
April
year.
3rd. You're just going to be like, yeah, here you go. It's all out. And then also, boom, Borderlands 3. I mean,
And then
how
boom,
awesome
I have to
would
take
that be?
vacation again.
Yeah.
I just got really sick. Yeah. I think it'll be also this fall, and I think it'll be playable at E3.
Yes, let's do this.
We'll see what
That
happens
line-
there. They usually have. Go ahead.
I was going to say that line would be like 8 hours long to play it.
Yeah, so we'll see. So a lot of excitement there from Gearbox at PAX, and so if you haven't seen the trailer, we have been showing it over the video. If you're listening audio-wise, just head over to the Gearbox YouTube channel. They've got pretty much their entire presentation, and then they have the trailers broken out. So really cool to see there. A lot of excitement happening from Gearbox coming up. It's good to see that they're doing some good stuff. Okay, moving over to an entirely different announcement, and this is from Remedy. So if you did play Quantum Break or Alan Wake or this stuff, you have seen the trailers for Control. We finally got a release date for that. That's going to be this summer. It's going to be August 27th. So this game has really received a lot of good feedback from the trailer. A lot of people are excited about it. It is cross-platform this time, so not an Xbox exclusive in any form. So a lot more people will get to play it. But it looks pretty cool. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick it up at launch. I think it looks pretty fun. It almost looks like a sequel to Quantum Break to me. But you know, it's going to be fun, I think.
I'm excited for it. I liked Quantum Break a lot. The only thing that annoys me with this damn game is that it's getting so much attention and press now, whereas Quantum Break didn't. You know, it's kind of frustrating because Quantum Break was a really good game, and I wish it would have gotten obviously done better for Remedy and more people would have checked it out. So, but based on what I've seen, this looks really good. I think this release date here is obviously trying to get in front of the fall we were just referencing, and it's probably a smart move, you know, from Remedy's perspective, because Control. As many people as are excited for this, and it's on PS4 now, you know, it's not going to stand up to those major hitters in the fall. So this is probably a smart move on their part.
Yep, I'm excited for it. I also enjoyed Quantum Break. I actually didn't play Alan Wake, which kind of makes me sad. But
oh boy,
I know. There we go. Off the podcast.
There it
again.
goes.
Yeah, I know Diego hates me for it. But I really enjoyed.
You get one every big.
Yeah, well, see, there it is. I got another one for you later. I'm curious to know, you know, like how much content there is. Is it going to be like a big game? You know, I don't know a whole lot about. You know, I mean, I guess you wouldn't, you know, seeing it's not out, but you know, it's definitely curious, and I really am looking forward to seeing more from it. So, bring it on.
Yep. Yeah, I expect somewhere to, obviously, single player. There might be some multiplayer aspect to it that we don't know about, but I'm guessing somewhere between the 10 to 20 hour range. Should have pretty good mechanics, and that's kind of it. That's what they usually build out. So, okay, we only have a few really quick announcements, and then we're going to talk about Division 2, so we'll detail that a little bit longer. But really quick ones here. So the Gwent card game is coming to smartphones. So first of all, if you love the Gwent from The Witcher, they did have a standalone game, obviously. And it's fantastic if you like Gwent. Definitely recommend picking it up. It is going to be coming out on the iPhone first later this year. No firm release date. And no exact release date or even window for the Android devices. So if you're in those type of phones or smart devices, nothing yet, but it is coming. It is coming to the iPhones first. Dreams, we did talk about Dreams in the past. This is the game that's coming out on PlayStation 4. A lot of people have been excited for it. I think, Dan, you got to play some of the early, I guess, beta, if I'm not mistaken. But early access is coming out on the 16th. We did mention it in the past, like I said, but there wasn't a date for it. Now we have a date, and that's right around the corner. And then lastly, F1 2019, which is probably one of my biggest games for 2019, is getting released 2 months earlier than their typical schedule. So they usually release at the end of August, and a lot of the F1 season has already been happening, so we don't really have a new game, but this is a big deal. It's going to be coming out on the 28th of June. It'll be right on the weekend of the Austrian Grand Prix. If you do follow F1, this is kind of a big deal. So I'm going to be super excited about that one. They have been working on this specific title for 2 years. So last year was the first time that they really spent a lot of time on the enhanced consoles like PlayStation 4 and Xbox One X. This is going to be pretty much a new experience from what Codemasters is talking about. And you finally get to actually make your own cars with liveries and stuff like that. There'll be more details on it later to come, though, so make sure to follow us on social media if you want more updates on that. But now I'm going to turn it over to Dan and Ains, and we're going to briefly talk about the Year 1 content that's coming out for Division 2, and it's going to be free. But I'll turn it over to you guys before I start sounding like an idiot and don't know what I'm talking about. But Ains, Dan, talk to me about this content coming.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so before Division 2 launched, they announced that they were going to do the first year of content free. So funny enough, there is a season pass or a year 1 pass for the Division 2, but that actually starts taking place next year, believe it or not. So obviously they're in for the long term on this game. Everything coming the rest of 2019 is free for all players. Starting April 5th next week, or when you're listening to this week, which is going to bring World Tier 5 and gear sets. So if you're familiar with the end game of Division, after you beat everything, it goes to World Tier 1, and then you work your way up to World Tier 4, which is, harder enemies, various different missions and strongholds, updated way the map works, and all this other stuff. Almost an overwhelming amount of endgame content. The direct opposite of Anthem, pretty much. Sorry, I had to say it. And so World Tier 5 and the full 6-piece, 5 and 6-piece gear sets are coming next week, or this week, like I said, which is really neat. That's something that, was in Division 1 as well, and just further expands upon the amount of builds and weaponry you can use and all these other things. And then they've got 3 episodes coming through the year. Summer brings episode 1, which is called Expeditions. Autumn brings episode 2, which is where they're actually going to have the Pentagon. And then episode 3 is going to be in the winter, which is going to bring some other things they haven't disclosed yet, along with 3 new specializations. So currently there's 3 in the game that you can specialize once you hit endgame, so there'll be 6 at that point. And then they're adding things like, all kinds of different missions and content, and they're going to add 8-player raids. So if you're like us and you have a clan and you got a whole bunch of people that play this game, you'll be able to group up with 8 people to play these massive raids, which is just going to be kind of crazy, really. I mean, we haven't seen anything like that, especially on the console side for this type of looter shooter. So everything's usually around 4 players. So long story short, a ton of stuff coming. The game is... I could go on and on about the game, and I will at a different point, but this is really fun for players, and I think they're just going to keep players engaged throughout 2019, which is great to see.
Yep. There's not a whole lot I can add except to say that, I typically play a game and I'm usually done with it, and even games like this. In fact, it hasn't been since a while since I've really put multiple, years really into a game. Or months even. This one's got me, and I never thought for a second it would. And then you're adding all of this stuff. I mean, it's just going to keep coming and coming. So I can see myself playing this, long term, which is great, because that gives you so much value, for your buck. That's and with the limited amount of time people have, I mean, it's hard to jump around and get all these games played. But this one, they know what they're doing. They've learned from the mistakes of the past. They've learned from mistakes of others, and just are knocking it out of the park. It's a super fun game. It's amazingly fun to play with friends. And this so far is my game of the year, which is I never thought I'd say it. But it is.
I think it's hilarious that you, of all people, because we joked about this, are really, really into finding gear and gearing up and looting up. In fact, you're a higher gear score than I am right now. Yeah. So I think that's great. And yeah, we if Dan and I look like death warmed over, it's because we were playing the Division 2 until 2:30 a.m. or whenever it was last night. It's just addicting, and you just want to keep playing and playing and playing. So it's great.
Cool. And just as a reminder for everyone, this is free. So great support from the developer. And make sure we were showing, if you're watching this visually, like I've said a few times now, we were showing kind of the image that they shared. But if you want more information, definitely go to our site. We have it there for you where you can take a closer look at it. So make sure to take a look at that if you're a Division fan. Well, that's it for news this week. There's been a lot of tiny stories that we really haven't covered, but make sure to follow our site for that as well for the smaller stories. And we wanted to share some first impressions on Firestorm. So we did talk about it in our last Bitcast that it did actually come out this past Monday. We have got our hands on it. We've played a few matches. Some have been hysterical. and we wanted to share our impressions on that. We're also going to share our impressions on Sekiro, which is a game in its own. I will share my impressions on that. But let's start out with Firestorm. We played. I actually played one by myself. Ains played one by himself, and then we squatted up. We played duos, even though there's not a direct way to play duos. We played just two. Actually, Dan, let's start out with you. I wanted to get your first impressions on this so far. What are your thoughts?
Of course you do. As usual with any battle royale game, I have no clue what I'm doing. I jump out of planes early because I was trying to figure out what button to press. I can't figure out how to mark stuff on a map because even though it's the same in literally every battle royale game I play, I couldn't drop an artillery strike because I hit the wrong button. I didn't understand anything, but it was super fun, and I really enjoyed it. Then I got nauseous too. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, it was good. It was good. You know, even though I had literally brought nothing to the team, I did about as poorly as possible. I don't know. I think I killed 2 people with a tank, and that might be the only way I ever kill anybody. And I might not.
Did
even
awesome driving. You did awesome at driving.
Yeah, I can drive. Yeah, there's that. I don't run over stuff and end up in valleys of rocks and stuff. So that's good.
No idea who does that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know who does that. The guy that likes all the racing games. Oh, jeez.
Ains, how about you? What do you think so far?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It's definitely more fun, as with most of them, right? It's definitely more fun in a squad. It definitely surprised me. So we were talking last night about how, from a realistic battle royale standpoint, you have PUBG and you have PUBG. So there's not a whole lot in the realistic battle royale realm. You have those other ones, you know, there's DayZ out there, and there's Vigor, and there's some variations on it. But this looks great. It runs great. I really like some of the ideas. For instance, you know, they have this massive map, but the circle only encompasses about 50% of it on a match, which you can see from the start. You can see the starting circle. Things like that. Things like being able to, shoot when you're down, and just some of the layouts of the weapons and things. But it's a very different feeling game. It doesn't feel like PUBG. It certainly doesn't feel like Apex. And so there's a big learning curve here. I think as we played several matches last night and we kind of got a better feel for it, I was really getting into it more. But I think people need to accept that this is a battle royale game in a different game completely, different engine, different feel, and so it takes a little while to get that feel down. But it's got some really neat ideas. I had a lot of fun playing it, and I think, like we talked about before, some of the aspects of Battlefield, like being able to destroy buildings. You know, we were sitting in that building and an artillery strike came down and started blowing the whole thing up, so we just had to run. I think those are really unique to Battlefield and will endear itself to me more. So I'm looking forward to playing a lot more of it.
Yeah, so I'll give my quick impressions on it too, and I'm simply going to say I think they're onto something here. I think this is maybe one of my favorite Battle Royale games out right now, just because, number one, it's absolutely beautiful. Number two, there's so many different ways you can play the game. I mean, you can go completely stealth and try to hide the whole time, and there's ways that you can combat that. You can try to swim. There's actually jeeps that go on water now. Based on when these were actually out, there's an amphibious jeep where you can go through, which was really fun. And then you can get in tanks, but there's consequences to getting in tanks, and there's ways you can take down tanks. And I thought the actual Firestorm wall was absolutely awesome, the way it kind of comes in and you can see it in the distance. And I don't know, I think it was really, really cool. I'm going to be playing it a lot more. I think it's, in a funny way, its closest competitor would be probably Blackout from Call of Duty, but I do like the way this one plays and looks. I think that longer development time actually helped them out here. The problem is will people come back to it after they've kind of abandoned Battlefield? And so, I don't know, I'm giving it rave reviews so far. I need to play it a bit more. I think the inventory management takes a second or two to kind of get used to. It's very different from, obviously, Apex, which is kind of perfected inventory, whereas PUBG, you go back and play that, and inventory management's a nightmare. But I don't know, I've really liked it so far. So, all right, we'll have to play that again. The weird mode setup is that you can only play it in squads, which is 1 through 4 players. And then you can only play it by yourself. So there's not duos and there's not trios or anything like that. So maybe they'll add that in the future. So far, the map seems to be really, really cool. It's really big, as Ains mentioned, and you don't get the same map every time, which is kind of neat too. With still having one map, you get different aspects of that map. And if I was to guess, Ains, we've probably only traversed maybe 20 to 25% of the total map, if that.
Yeah, it's incredibly extensive, and I think that just adds to a whole bunch of different play styles between the vehicles and the weaponry and stuff too. So I think we just, we've played a ton of Battle Royale, and I think that we're going to really have to adjust the way we play Battle Royale for this game, which I think is neat. I love learning new things and trying different strategies. So yeah, I think it's great.
I won't be adjusting how I play, just so you know. There'll be no adjustment needed on my end. Thanks.
As long as you give it a try, Dan, that's all that matters, and we always appreciate when you do. So thank you. Thank you for doing that.
You may not, actually. But
all right. Well, the other big release this week is Sekiro. So this came out, actually no, last week. We actually spent a bit of time on it this week due to Ains traveling and me getting it late from GameStop. So we finally played it. Ains, I'm going to let you go first on this one because my first impression will be very, very short, so I'll let you spend a little more time on that. And obviously Dan hasn't played it, so go ahead and knock it out of the park here.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the From games, I'm not a fanatic, but I like them all. I've played them all. I was excited about Sekiro, and I did a lot of research on it ahead of time, so I kind of knew what to expect. If you're familiar with the games, it's going to be instantly recognizable in many ways. You heal the same way, you gain XP very similarly, except for this one has skill trees instead of custom builds. The environment and the engine feel very familiar. It's got some really nice environments, and just artistic direction is really solid as well. The one thing I'm really struggling with right now is the combat system. And the combat system is completely different from Souls and Bloodborne. So if you try to approach this game playing it like Souls, like I have early on, you're struggling with it a lot. Because what this game really wants you to do is to be on the offensive. And then instead of dodging and kind of moving around enemies, is really blocking and deflecting. So if you're one of those people who kind of mastered parrying, whether it be in Bloodborne or Souls, you may be a little better off. I was always one who kind of dodged around and, took my time on things. That doesn't work in this game. You'll just get overloaded. And so, I watched the famous guy who does videos on these games, VaatiVidya. He had some tips that he put up the other day, which were really good. So I'm trying to adjust my play style. It's working a little bit, but I still have some challenges with it. The one thing that really is driving me crazy is that compared to Souls and Bloodborne, you had a bunch of iframes in your movement. So there were frames you could dodge or move where you wouldn't take damage. And in this game, that not only doesn't exist, but enemies have definitely a lot more kind of homing attacks, meaning they kind of follow you as you go to move. So if you, like I said, if you're someone that loves to kind of move around and dodge attacks, you're going to get crushed. You will just get hit over and over, and you'll be trying to figure out why you continue to get hit in that same vein. And that's been a little maddening. So, but, it has the same From charm as other games, and I'm going to power through. Like I said, I'm going to be reviewing for the site, and, I'm going to give my best to power through on this. I am enjoying it, and it's been a little more frustrating than I expected.
Okay, well, let me give you my 30-second review. Let me start, before I start that review, by saying, all you publishers, all you journalists, all you people that said this was an easier From game, you guys can just screw off.
It's not.
I'll tell you that first of all.
Yeah, it's not.
This is actually harder to me than Bloodborne was. And I did play a bit of Dark Souls 1 when it was a really big deal. I did get pretty far in that, but not far enough to say that I experienced the game. This is way harder than that. But now to my review. So, my quick impression, I should say, not review. But first of all, let me start by saying I love the look, the feel, the art, the environments, the lore in every single From Software game. It just sucks that I'm not good enough to get through most of those games in general. I've gotten really far in Bloodborne, and I could probably get to the end of that one. And I'm actually going to go back to that. I think I'm going to restart it. I'm probably about 80% of the way through. but I forgot a lot of the story, if there is a bit of a story in it, and I want to go back to it. But Sekiro is incredibly frustrating. As Ains has mentioned, he's a bit of a dodger in games when it comes to this type of gameplay style. I'm the exact same way. I've never been a big parry fan in any games that I've played, even in fighting games that are like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. So I've always dodged and like getting around things. And a lot of enemies, even the base NPCs that you run across, or enemies I should say, they have this magnet feel to where they will dodge at you, or sorry, they'll lunge at you, and they will literally follow you even if it's not part of their animation. And I have one of the big ones that a lot of people have showed is that chained ogre. I have probably 5 or 6 clips where there's just some kind of bad programming, in my opinion. I've had one where he went through the stage and grabbed me and threw me off about 50 yards off the edge of the cliff. I have another one where he was aiming directly at me, and then I moved in the dodge, and he changed directions mid-lunge to grab me and kill me there. I had another one that I actually shared on Twitter that was hilarious, where he grabbed me in the middle of a changed animation after I had learned his pattern, threw me over, and one of the other enemies stabbed me as I landed. I never even had a chance to roll away from it, and this was all killed me in one entire swoop. So I did beat that chained ogre, moved on to the next enemy. I could probably beat him if I have enough time and patience for it, but I'm actually just going to shelve the game for now. I don't have the time and patience to spend hours and hours and hours in games to where I just completely die over the same enemy or boss or mini-boss for hours upon hours and frustration. So it's, as Dan always says, those games are just not for me. As I'm probably just going to have to stream somebody playing it just so I can see more of the lore and the enemies, just to kind of appreciate what's made there. But for you people that love these games and can get through them and then look down on everybody else, good for you. Good for you. So that's it for me on Sekiro. I think it's cool. If you like those games, play them. It's there to be played. It's a great one. Dan, do you got anything to say on this one, or you're just gonna
let it go?
You're over it. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, let it go.
Plenty of other games to play, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to play. So, speaking of, as we move to there, so we're gonna just lightning through our games that we're playing. We do like to share with you what we're playing, and if you've played those, you'll probably see our reviews, and we can share impressions there too. But Dan, what are you playing right now? What is the only thing you're playing?
Yeah, pretty much Division 2, except for the Firestorm we played yesterday. I'm hoping today to maybe jump into Yoshi a little bit, but we'll see how time allows. We'll see how that works. I got it sitting there. So, but yeah, pretty much Division 2. That's it.
Cool. Haynes?
Yeah, so we've talked about Division 2 and Sekiro. That's 99% of what I've been playing. I did jump into the Mortal Kombat 11 beta that is ongoing this weekend. Just to get a feel for it. I already know I'm getting it. I just wanted to see what it felt like, and to confirm what we thought is that it's gorgeous and fluid, and it's all those things. So I just played 2 quick matches. There's 5 or 6 characters you can play as. One of them is Jade, who's my favorite female ninja there. So she just feels and looks awesome, and the game is kind of everything that we expected, and that's all I needed to do. I just wanted to get a feel for it. Other than that, I'm going to wait till it releases because I don't want to get into it yet until it's out. So other than that, I'm looking forward to playing more Firestorm, like I said, and powering through more Sekiro.
Cool. I'm going to lightning my stuff super quick here. So F1 2018, I finally got 1,000 out of 1,000 gamer score on that game. It takes a long time to do with a lot of races and online matches, and so I finally got that. I'm really proud of that one. Went back to Persona 5. I'm still powering through that one. That's also a very long game. I think the minimum hours to play that is somewhere between 80 and 90, and then if you want to explore more, it goes into the hundreds. So I'm at about hour 20 on it, and I just absolutely love that game. What Remains of Edith Finch. So just a gem in this generation. I highly recommend playing that. It's available on Game Pass right now. You can find it on PlayStation, PC, everywhere you want. It only takes around 2.5 to 3 hours to get through the entire thing. If you try to play all the little achievements and stuff, maybe 3 hours if you try to get to it, but very, very special story. Check it out. I highly recommend it. Sekiro, you've been shelved. Already talked about that. I'm not going to go back into it, but I have played the heck out of that. And Firestorm, which I will be going back to a bunch. So that's what we're playing. Going to turn it over to Dan for Name That Game.
Woo.
Dan, it's all yours.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's just hope you don't get this on the second question. That's my
oh boy.
That's my goal. Who wants to go first?
Done, Matt.
Ains, why don't you go first?
Okay, done, Matt.
Yeah.
All right. This is again This one will be a lot easier than Blood and Golagold 13. So I know you guys have played this. All right, hold on. Sorry. I'm ready. Here we go. All right, number 1, released in 2002 in North America for the PlayStation 2.
Thought we get, huh? All right.
2002 PlayStation 2. So year after release. Let's go with Onimusha.
No.
I'm gonna go with Time Splitters 2.
No. All right, now I just have to make it past this one to not do the walk of shame. Okay, it was first presented, first footage shown at E3 in 2001.
Jesus. I was just reviewing my 2001 E3 footage, so, you know.
Well, E3 was, you know.
I'm going to go with...
E3, yeah, but that was 18 years ago.
Think about it, though. 18 years ago, what were you doing?
I'm thinking really hard, actually. I'm going to go with Time Splitters 3.
Nice. No.
Ah, damn.
E3 back then. I'm going to go with Grand Theft Auto 3.
No. That's a no-go on that one. All right. Number 3. Right. The concept for the game was created by David Siller. Also the same person who developed Crash Bandicoot.
Wow.
It's my guess, Bert.
Yeah, Bert, don't you dare.
Because, you know, I have it, so I don't want you to jump in ahead of time here. Oh, Jesus. Crash Bandicoot, huh? God. Let's go Jak and Daxter.
No.
Okay.
That's a good game, man.
I'm gonna go with Klonoa.
Did you say Meteos? No. Okay. All right. That's a no, by the way. Okay. So originally it was scheduled for release on the Nintendo 64. However, it was delayed and moved back for the Dreamcast, and then again delayed, and then eventually releasing for the PS2.
Ooh, interesting.
I'm gonna go with Klonoa 2.
Damn it, Bert.
That's a good guess.
Wow. That one really throws me for a loop. I have no idea now. I go Red Faction.
No. All right. This is a hack and slash game that takes place in a dynamic 3D world.
A hack and slash game. Oh, man.
It'll get relatively easier after this. Sorry, guys.
Let me think about
I have to get halfway through or I don't think I did my job.
Hack and slash game. Yeah, I don't have a freaking clue.
You said we did play it, Ains. So we did play it.
You had to have. I know you guys had to have. Maybe you didn't. I don't know.
How about the original Devil May Cry?
No.
I'm going to go with Dynasty Warriors.
No.
The Dynasty Warriors, which one? There's like 85 of them.
Yeah. I would have taken
Dynasty Warriors 34.
Yep. You would have had 5 guesses. You could guess one of them. All right, so let's open this up a little bit. This Capcom title is part of the PS2 Greatest Hits. It's from Capcom.
Is it my turn? That's my
it
turn,
is yours, Bert. Yep.
I'm going to go with Final Fight 7.
No. 7. Nice.
Capcom. Damn. Funny enough, I've said Devil May Cry and Onimusha. Hack and slash. Oh boy.
I need like one more clue and then I'd probably get it, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't have it here. For sure. Hack and slash. How about Maximo?
Boom!
Dang.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, that was
That's
it.
a good game. That's a good game.
Wow.
That's an excellent game.
What was the next question?
The
Or
next one
clue, I
was
should say.
there was a sequel released in 2003 and a third game scheduled but later canceled. Music
Yeah.
includes remixes of tracks found in an early Nintendo game of which it shares the same universe. Once you defeated the boss,
Maxim was a great game.
yep, you have the option to receive extra health or a kiss from a sorceress. And like its Nintendo predecessor, if you got hit, you would lose pieces of your armor and eventually be adventuring in your skivvies.
Yeah, I
thought
would
we
have
could
gotten
go
all
away.
those for sure. I'm just surprised I
Yeah.
got it on that
Yeah.
one. I couldn't think of
Fuck
any other
yeah, man.
Capcom game around the same time. That was a fun game. I still have
was
it.
a
Still
fun
have my
game.
copy.
I love Maximo.
Yeah, I have that game too. I love it too. It's a shame that it went through development hell.
Yeah, I was a Ghouls
Yeah.
and Ghosts fanatic, man. I love those original games.
Yep.
Cool.
Me
So, Dan, what question was that, by the way?
That
That
was
question
6.
Six.
Six,
Got it.
okay.
Got it for our history books
cool.
here.
Wow. Well, good actually game to go on there. I'll name that game. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured
So-
everybody knew it. It was one of my favorites. So.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Dan. Congrats, Ains, on question number 6. It's better than question number 1, which we have yet to do.
Yeah.
But that does close us out for Bitcast 51. Thanks for listening, folks. If you haven't had a chance yet, on YouTube we have a couple new videos. We did not have a Backseat Gaming last week due to just scheduling conflicts with us this week, but we are coming back this week. This one will be the Battle Royale game where all 3 of us play together. We've each played our individual games, where I played Fortnite, Dan played Blackout from Call of Duty, and Ains played Realm Royale. On this one, we're going... yeah. It's a crazy one. We're playing Apex, right? We're going to be playing Apex Legends together in a trio, so that should be super fun. We'll have that out for you this Friday. And then Division 2 will be on our next Bitcast as far as a review goes. And make sure to look for that on our website as well. Anything else, folks, that you wanted to share?
No, just I started the Division 2 review. Like I said to a bunch of people I speak to, really wanted to really power through the end game before writing a full review on that. So getting there, we'll talk about it next week.
Okay. Dan, anything else before your Backseat Gaming return to Realm Royale games? Battle Royale games.
Battle Royale game. Or,
I got so burned on Realm Royale. Yeah.
oh, jeez. No, I'm excited to see how it goes tomorrow, I guess. Or we should. Yeah, that's going to be something.
We will be champions, damn it. We will be champions. That's
That
right.
is a lofty goal, considering you have one of the biggest handicaps in Battle Royale history. So,
Hey.
we'll see.
Me and Ains have won just the 2 of us before, so we will carry you, sir. We will carry
That's-
the handicap. Yes,
That,
sir.
and that doesn't even mean anything to me, because I will make it worse.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening again. If you're listening on audio, thanks as always. If you're watching, or I should say watching and listening on YouTube, thanks for watching and listening. Make sure to like and subscribe anywhere you're listening or watching. Have a great week, everyone.